I was so mad at this studio.
You were so mad at what?
Your studio.
Why are you mad at my studio?
Well, years ago.
Well, okay, so that's a good place to start. I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart.
We already did that.
I know, but I want to do it so that no one thinks that it was just between you and I.
Oh.
Because I think that we're in a place in this world where people need to communicate and accept the things that they failed at and the mistakes that they made. So you and I had a social media beef, and I just want to say that I was probably 100% wrong, and I should have never done that. And I want you to know that I am terribly sorry for doing that. Because
thank you.
Once I lost my, what would you call that, mental illness?
I don't think you lost the mental illness.
I think you just woke up.
I think you just have a new one.
Yeah, so I have a new one. And
can you zoom in on her?
You can.
She looks really tiny.
Oh, look how tiny you look.
I am tiny. Oh, I look crappy with my hair. Fix me or something.
I don't know how to do that.
I might eat this blow pop.
That's all right. I don't care. What do I care? I'm not running for anything.
All right. So we might cut that part out. Or we'll just roll with it like Mr. Rogers
roll with
did.
it. I don't care.
So when COVID hit, Micah was there for me to kind of shepherd my insanity across the starting line.
Are we just going to gloss over what the beef was?
I don't even remember what it was.
It was a change.org.
Yeah.
By
get that closer to you, about a fist. You can pull it towards you. Yeah.
Change.org by I don't know the guy's name, I forget his name. Connor O'Brien.
Yeah, what was this about though?
Well, it was because I was taking funding from the library and giving it to the arts department because we already had a dedicated library tax. But he didn't understand what I was talking about. So he thought that I was cutting arts funding, which wasn't even true. So I don't know.
So he started a petition, and I shared the petition, and I said,
right.
How dare this evil person take away?
But they made it into a gay issue or something, and I was like, well, what does that have to do with the arts department?
Can I tell you? Remember the Secret Santa that the city would do? Do you remember this?
During Christmas time, the cops would go around.
Yeah, the police department would do this.
They'd pull people over and give them like coupons for fast food or something.
Yeah, like if you didn't use your blinker or something like that.
Rather than give you a ticket, they'd let you off at Christmas with the
I do remember something about that,
And then it turned into like this LGBTQ issue, and I'm calling up cops going like, how does this turn it? Like, does any cop know who's gay when they pull them over?
Well,
and they're like, no. And I'm like, but they took that program away.
That was during lockdown, though, too.
Yeah, it was during the lockdown.
That was a BLM issue, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, it was BLM. They were saying they were because they were racist or something, and they took it away.
If you read the paper they put out though for it, the
press release.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you.
Doing great, Dan. You're batting 1,000 so far.
The wording in that, it went from the BLM stuff, and then it's all inclusivity and everything like that.
Yeah, and then it got into that. And
because you have to include everybody in that condemnation.
And then I started to be like, those two things have nothing to do with the other. So one of the things that happened when I was going through at the beginning of COVID was I started to ask myself, because I hated Trump. Hated him.
I'm sure you did, because I'm like him, so that's why you hate me.
Well, no, that's not why. It's ignorance. I was ignorant. I was dumb. I was foolish. I wasn't. I didn't learn about it. I just went with the flow and what I thought was right, and this virtuous behavior that I thought was going to get people to like me. Which at the end,
it happens on our side too. So don't.
Yeah, well, I'm aware of it now. But that was like, why do I hate the people I hate? And then with the Trump thing, I went back and watched the Good People on Both Sides Charlottesville thing. And I watched the whole press conference. And I was like, wait a second. He just said, I do not condone white supremacy in any shape or form. And then he said, but you got to realize, not all of them were that way. There was good people on both sides. Mm-hmm. And then like 90 seconds later, he goes, and I don't condone white supremacy in any shape or form. Mm-hmm. And I lived my life for 3.5 years thinking that that's what he said.
A lot of people did.
So because your journey's been, if I remember correctly, weren't you a Ted Cruz person back in the day?
No.
When he ran for president? No? Who was your people in the past?
Trump was my person, and let's see.
We're talking like 2015. Before that, what was it? Or
He wasn't
because did your political stuff evolve?
I was a Tea Party. I started the Tea Party in Scranton. That's
Did you? No, why'd you do that?
Well, because
What year is this?
2009.
Okay.
Yeah, and I started that because of all the taxes that were thrown at me. I mean, it's a long story. I don't know if you want to get into a big.
We got time, kid.
Okay. Well, I mean, the reason I started in politics at all was because of 2003. 9/11. And when I saw what happened, I was out in Washington after that, and I was going to dinner to support George Bush for the first time. And I was seeing what was going on, and I couldn't believe it. And I was hearing the media report things that weren't the same as what I was seeing. So that's what got me started.
This is in 2003.
Yes.
So this is what, the lead up to the Iraq War?
Yeah. Yeah. And I was in support of that. I wanted to go after them and all that.
How do you feel about it now?
I don't believe anything the government tells me anymore.
So you went from like, this is an honorable thing to do, to like, oh man, I don't know anything anymore.
Listen, anybody that attacks us we need to get retribution. We need to attack back.
Sure.
Like Israel.
It's a deterrence.
I am in full support of Israel right now. And, I would never backtrack on that. So I guess I can't backtrack on something I support at the time.
Well, that's something Tucker says. Like Tucker goes, I was fully supporting the Iraq War, and now that I have many years behind me, I don't think that was a terrible idea for me to do.
Yeah, I just don't believe all the things they were saying now.
So what were some of the things that were contradictory?
Weapons of mass destruction and all that.
that ended up never. So we had a guy on this podcast named Sam Faddis. He was the CIA agent sent to Iraq to find weapons of mass destruction, and he was like, never found them. And we told them that they're not here.
Yeah, and
they wanted to keep going. And if you keep going, like you start to question, why is this happening?
I guess my big question with it is, like, you have Al-Qaeda, which is primarily people from Pakistan, funded by Saudi Arabia, now hiding out in Afghanistan. None of them attacked us. I mean, Iraq didn't attack us. Like, why are we going to a war with Iraq? Made no sense.
Well, they were funding it, was what I was under the impression, with weapons.
I think Saudi Arabia funded the whole thing.
But they never did they?
The only reason we went to war with them was because of the weapons of mass destruction. It was all made up.
That's what we found, like, later in life. Because I was all gung. I remember I was at Tinks the night they started bombing, and we were all like, yeah.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. Like,
well, I never questioned politics at all until I was volunteering for the Red Cross. I mean,
yeah, tell me about, like, how you got, like, you went from, like,
so much thing. I'm probably going to just go back, and I'm going to be like hopping all over the place.
We'll try
and redirect me.
Yeah.
Let's see. That was when that thing happened when George Bush got blamed for not doing anything for Louisiana. What happened? The big flood down there.
Katrina.
Yeah. Thank you. So I volunteered, like, I'm a nurse, so I volunteered with Red Cross.
You went down to Louisiana?
No.
Oh, okay.
I used to watch CNN and I used to watch MSNBC. That was my two go-to stations. I was just like everybody else in the world, And I was a Democrat. So I
heard that rumor. So that's true?
Yeah, I used to be a Democrat. Well, I mean, I grew up in a foster home. My foster parents said, be a Democrat. So I did. That's what I did. So anyway, I signed up for the Red Cross, and you have to go through training before you go down there. So I had to wait for training on a Wednesday, and I was going to be going down there by Friday, I think, within 3 days, because they were desperate for help. And I came, like, everybody was tuned in to CNN, and like just back and forth I'd be going, And then when they weren't showing, I was like, wait, what are they saying about that? And then I flipped over to Fox one day, and I was like,
just because they were in a commercial and you needed
to, okay. It's like, what's going on?
Right.
And they were saying something completely different. I was like, what? Like, what's going on here? You know how they were all in that big arena?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. The Superdome.
Yeah.
Was it the Superdome?
Yeah. And Geraldo was saying, just walk across the bridge. Just walk across the bridge. And I was like, what do you mean walking? Where are they? Like, I'm confused. I thought they were all flooded and they were stuck in this arena and they couldn't get out. And they were desperate for food and water and everything. And they were panned out, and you could see they just had to walk across the bridge to get out. I was like, why aren't they leaving? And then I found out they were being held there. They were armed guards. They had, like, they called out the military on these people. They were arresting people that had guns in their homes. And, like, this one older woman got attacked in her own home for having a gun. I was like, this is crazy. What's happening? And then I found out that they were all getting raped in there, and and beat up and all this stuff. And I was like, well, I'm not going there. So I canceled going. I didn't believe it. And then I went over to CNN and they weren't saying any of that. And you can go back and watch the clips. Don't believe me. Just go back and watch it.
Because I remember all that.
And, I couldn't believe that they were arresting people, but just because they were protecting themselves with a handgun. Especially that one older woman did it for me. I was like, they attacked her right in her house. Couldn't believe it.
And is that when you started to be like,
yeah, I was like, what's going on? Why are they saying this? And then I started paying attention to both CNN, MSNBC, and Fox, because I used to like Chris
Matthews?
Chris Matthews, and didn't like them anymore because I was going down there to put my life on the line for these idiots that were reporting the wrong stuff, and I could have gotten hurt. So I said,
was that your moment?
Yeah.
Like you think that was
that
the
was
start
my moment.
of your
Yeah,
moment?
that was my moment for conservatism. Yeah.
So I was listening to this guy doing this interview, and he's a reporter, and he travels all around the country and does like the stories that the mainstream doesn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And he's asked everybody, because a lot of them had their, let's just call it the red pill moment.
Yeah, I guess that would be it. Yeah.
And he said, out of the hundreds of people he's talked to, not 2 people had the same red pill moment. Like it was always something unique that made them go, I don't trust this. Something's weird. I need to start asking questions.
Yeah, well, Geraldo did it for me.
That guy, out of all people, the guy who...
Well, when he said, just walk across the bridge.
I mean, it's common sense, but like...
Wait, they can't walk across the bridge. Aren't they in like a flood or whatever? And then I started watching and that Mayor Nagin, and he never got the buses out on time.
Right.
And like, they were just so like, they didn't help anybody. And they were acting as though they were trying to help, and it was all Bush's fault. And I didn't really even like Bush that much. It was just that after I saw what they did to him, I was like, these people are all liars. They're all lying on the news. And I was believing all that stuff. So.
And you believed everything up until then. Yeah. So really, that was your moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I didn't really pay attention, to be honest with you. I was just.
I mean, you were raising kids, and you're busy, and
I think like the big thread that weaves all these stories together of people that have kind of shifted from the whatever you want to call it, left to right, are realizing that the people that we're supposed to trust to take care of us and tell us the truth don't.
Yeah.
I think that's the big thread is, you can trust the news. They're telling you facts. No, they're telling you their side of the story, that they want to now move you in this direction. He's a doctor and he works for the government. He must know everything about medical science. And then come to find out, here we are a few years later. And it's like, I think they were just trying stuff, and it's like, I think that seems to be the overarching theme for everybody is like, hold on, maybe this isn't right. Mm-hmm. Maybe I do need to kind of look at some different ways of thinking, look for facts over the way this makes me feel, look for, truth over what I want to hear that's going to make me happy today, even if that truth makes me upset. And people tend to come, more towards the middle, at least. But yeah, I mean, it's like for everybody, it's either a politician lied or the news lied. It seems like in some form.
So, and that's 100% right. And we should have all picked up on that a lot sooner. And, speaking of the press, we'll get into it, but like they were not kind to you.
Oh, I was in the. I'm writing a book. You should see the stuff in my book. I can't wait till it's done.
Why would you write a book? No one will believe it.
That's okay.
It's too crazy that no one will believe it.
It has to be, and I have proof of everything.
So, after Katrina, what was like for a normal person? They're just like, oh, they're lying. I'm going to go along with my day, and I'll never trust them again. What was the thing that made you go like, okay, they're lying, and I feel compelled to try to make a difference in the world?
I think it was just a gradual thing. A couple things that happened like over and over. That was a huge moment for me that I can remember, that sticks in my mind. But then, the taxes in my business, I do
healthcare, right?
I have my own business. It's 25 years now. It's my 25-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
If I knew that, we would have got you a cupcake.
No, that's okay.
I brought you in a blow pop. You can choose that or smelling salts.
Oh, geez. I might need the smelling salts soon. Huh?
They're good. They work.
Every now and then we take a little...
just to wake us up.
People that watch this are probably going to say, Laureen was there. They need the smelling salts.
No. We're doing poppers.
Yeah. So the taxes and the business and...
Well, I never knew, like, there's so much that happened. It's just like, I started doing my own payroll because Rendell changed the rules, and we used to be able to lease our employees back then, and now I had to do my own payroll. So when I saw what taxes were coming out, Medicare and Social Security, that I had to match those, I was like, what do you mean I have to match what my employees put in? I didn't know that, you know? And that was just new to me. And, you know, I talked to CEOs of companies for years. Like, I knew many businessmen, and nobody ever said that to me. So I asked them, I said, did you know that this was the case? And unless they were a CPA, they had no clue.
Oh, really?
No, they didn't know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you got to match the contributions.
He's also a forensic accountant.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, you have CEOs like myself. I'm a nurse at you know, by trade.
Yeah.
And I just said, I'm done with this. I'm not going to be listening to all these people because they're all terrible business owners. I'm going to do it myself. And I just went and did it, you know, and I went to the U and I took a couple classes and things like that. But, you know, that just blew my mind that I was worried about a 401k for my employees. And here I'm already matching their Medicare and Social Security that they put in. And plus I pay their unemployment and I have to pay their insurances. And nobody knew this. Like, I didn't know this. So Reagan did that. So there you go. I mean,
the hero did that, huh?
Like, I didn't like that. I was like, why did he do that? And why didn't business owners pitch a fit over this, you know? So I started thinking, well, what else didn't I know? You know, what else didn't I know about all this stuff? And I started doing more and researching more and getting madder and madder and madder. And then in the county, I had a contract with Lackawanna County Healthcare Center. And I wasn't getting paid.
By the county.
By the county.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, every week, well, you didn't do this right. And they're always blaming me. Like, you didn't do this right. Or your staff and your director didn't put this in or didn't do that. And I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. Like, there's the bill, pay it, pay the invoice, you know? And come to find out, they weren't paying any bills. They just decided to put a moratorium on paying bills. And I didn't read the paper. I didn't watch the news. I was,
What year's this?
When Corcoran and Alberigi were in.
Okay, so they just stopped paying bills.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why when Cordero and Munchak got in there, they had a complete disaster to deal with. Like, it was a disaster. And I used to have to go up and get a check off of Eddie Karpovich every week just to get a couple $1,000s to pay my bills.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a bank, you know.
And your employees, right?
And my employee. Well, I just started to lay them off and I'd go and do the shifts myself because the IRS wanted their money, you know, their payroll money.
Yeah.
And then I got in trouble with the IRS and it was just a disaster. So that's what got me started on the county government. And I couldn't believe the mess that they were in. You know, I mean, we got something like a 48% tax increase at the time when Cordero got into office.
48%.
Well, they had to. There was no money. It's just like what we're going through right now. No money. There was no money in January when they got in there. From what I understand, there was papers strewn, bills hidden in closets and all kinds of stuff. It was all kinds of nastiness going on.
So
that made me, I was like, man,
So-
what is
so
happening in
what
this
year
world?
was this? What year did...
I think that was 2004, 2003,
Okay.
maybe. I don't remember.
So it's all like around the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of like God was saying, hey, pay attention, you know,
Yeah.
and, you know, I have plans for you because, you know, I won an election I shouldn't have won. So, you know, that was,
I think that was one of the posts I did.
Oh,
about
really?
your margin of error or the margin of victory.
Oh, you did a post on that.
Yeah,
See, I didn't know that.
I was like, I'm telling you, I apologize. Like, I can't apologize enough.
Stop.
And it was,
I'm here. It's done.
It was like, it's something weird about being in that mindset where like the focus becomes like, how can I hurt someone? Do you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
And I think I went and found
you weren't the only person. There was thousands of you.
I didn't know it. Like I didn't know. I don't know. I should have known better. I should have been a better person. And I don't know Like it pisses me off that I was capable of.
What did you say?
It was bad.
Dude, I would write shit that was like, it was like a novel.
Dan, pull it up.
Oh, it's on my Facebook I never deleted it though. Because I want to make sure that like my whole.
I'm sorry, but you're in my book.
That's okay. It's a Billy Madison.
Awesome.
Good thing I called that guy.
Awesome.
There's a lot of people in my book that aren't going to be happy.
So I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why. I thought I was smarter. I thought I was above it. I thought I was like, I don't know. What's the word?
What were we doing in 2004?
It was after 2004. It was, you got elected in 2015, 14.
Well, you have to remember, I brought a lot of that on too, because I didn't put up with, I just fought back. I just, in my meetings, I would go off, and so people would be like,
but this is now like, I have done a 180 on you. I have gone from like, she's a crazy person to now I'm like, she's got brass balls. And no one else is willing to do that. Like you're willing to stand up, come hell or high water, say what you believe in, let the chips fall where they may, and hopefully the discussion will start. But with politics, it turned into like, she's the enemy, disregard the words.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of money behind that concept. So
I know.
And, my election, I just think, God had prepared me for that time, because people used to say to me every day, how are you getting through the day? Because like they'd see like the posts and everything, and I'd get calls and they'd be like, are you okay? And I'd be like, yeah, why?
Well, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you, like, how did you do that? How did you handle that?
Because I'm saved. That's the only way anybody gets through this life. If you don't believe in God or some higher power,
yeah,
I'm sorry for you, because life is tough.
Yeah.
It's just tough. And, that's how I get through it. He is my salvation, and he gave me, a second chance. And, I asked for his forgiveness, and he said yes, even though I was a rotten, terrible person myself. And, I only had to ask once. So that's all you ever have to ask me. Just say sorry and it's over.
So what did you start getting crap when you started doing the Freedom Caucus? Is that
when I did the Tea Party?
Or the Tea Party, that's what it is. Because the Tea Party turned into the Freedom Caucus, or?
Man, there was so many people. I had the State Department at my house. I had the IRS.
Just because you wanted to start a Tea Party?
I started the Tea Party and I got slammed.
And when you say you started the Tea Party, what do you mean? You tried to start like a group?
I did.
Or like a political party? Like a
It's just called the Scranton Tea Party.
Okay.
And it's probably still online. You could probably still find it. But I still pay for that to be up. I don't really run it or anything. So, but we had hundreds of people in our group. And you were just talking about Lacey, Mike.
Oh, Mike Lacey. Yeah.
He had one in Wilkes-Barre. So him and Bob Orban. So we used to team up all the time.
And you guys started this because of
all this craziness in government and like all the things that was hitting me. And then the full force of the government came down on all of us, I think.
Because you were trying to exercise your rights.
I had rallies at the courthouse. I had, we had thousands of people up there at one point. We had Amy Kramer was there from Tea Party Express. And we had a lot of people there. I used to have rallies at the courthouse all the time.
At Lackawanna County Courthouse?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just for like your rights. So what were some of the things that you would be advocating for?
Well, less taxes. Taxed enough already is what Tea Party stands for.
Yeah.
So taxed enough already is why we say the Tea Party. And, fighting for, our rights and to, for us to redress the government, our grievances. So, because we weren't given that opportunity. They were ignoring us everywhere, in every way.
So every time you tried to talk to them, they were like, dismissed. We won't talk to you.
Well, when the government wasn't paying me, and I said to the other
that's true.
tax collector, listen, what am I supposed to do? They're not paying me, and they're not planning on it. They're not paying anyone.
Yeah.
There's a 6-month moratorium or something. And they're like, that's not our problem. That's your problem. You decided to go into business, So I was like.
But it seems like with government, like they're not supposed to run out of money. You know what I mean? Don't you think?
The people running government are
if they don't have any more money, then they're going to have to raise the taxes.
Okay. We're going to get into all this.
Well, I had a plan when that happened to me, my plan, and I was able to do exactly what I wanted to do, and I did it. So I'm very proud of that.
When you got in there?
When I got elected. I did it before I was even in office. I got it done. So that's amazing to me. Thank you, Lord.
So you have all these groups, you have all these individuals at these rallies who are, was it just a certain political group, or was it a whole bunch of different political groups, or was it ideology?
Group. Independents, Democrats, Republicans.
So it wasn't a political
libertarians.
party.
No, it was a group
a
of
separate
people.
group that just got together like-minded people to protest, rally, have their voices heard on a public forum.
The reason the Tea Party formed was across the country was because of Rick something from MSNBC. He was a financial guy. What was his name? Jeez, he's going to go down in history as starting that, and I can't remember his name. I feel bad, but he was like complaining, and then all of a sudden it just set a fire across the country, and everybody started. Tea parties were starting across the country. So that's where it started, really, not just with me.
And you guys never, lit things on fire or...
God, no. No.
You never went to college campuses.
We had rallies out in lot. We
robbed a Target.
Huge rallies. One of the biggest, I think, 1.8 million of us were out there in September. And it was cleaner after we left there than before when we got there. So we didn't do any of that crazy stuff.
Okay, so you do the Tea Party. How long did you do the Tea Party for? I still consider myself a Tea Party leader. Well, I mean, like the group. So, because eventually you have to get elected, and you can't right. Are you still running? That's a lot of plates to throw in the air. They are. All of those people followed me, and they helped me get elected. I had people going to their friends' houses at 7:30 at night, telling them, "Did you vote?" No, I forgot. Well, let's go. And they were in their house coat. I can tell you one up in Scott Township, she was in her house coat, and she literally drove her to the poll to vote. So, they're tough. They're good people. Everyone I've met has been amazing. Yeah. Everyone I've met since I've switched. I didn't even switch teams. I'm just right now I think that Republicans and Democrats are both wings of the same rotten bird. It depends. Like the committee people that we had in our party were excellent. That they were all Tea Party members. That's who we all flipped we flipped the House, we flipped the Senate, and we flipped the presidency. And I attribute that to all the Tea Party members across the country that did that. From 2015, you mean? From 2009. It took us that long, 2009 to 2015 when he was or 16 when he was elected. So you were incredibly active. Not just a lot of us. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not saying just you, but we're talking to you. We're not talking to everybody else. So. I know, but they are. No, there's a lot of people. You're being humble. You realize that it's not just you, right? And I think that that's a beautiful thing to be like. It's not just as I do around here, where I'm like, I get no credit. No, I get no credit for anything. I actually get shit on. I gave you credit when I came in. Yeah, you did. Yes. So, At what point did you decide to run? What was the thing? What was the inciting incident where you're like, I want to run? Was it something or was it commissioner? I was always at the commissioners meetings. Oh, were you? Always. I was always there. Me and Joe Gazdick and, oh gosh. Oh man, all these names, I'm forgetting them now, but we were always there. We were always at the commissioners meetings because I was ticked off. I wasn't getting, paid. So I just started following them, and they were quite interesting, to say the least. So we would always be there fighting for the rights for the taxpayers here. And I used to go to the Scranton meetings over at the courthouse when they had the tax guy over there with his meetings. He passed away since. Gosh, I keep forgetting all these people's names. Sorry, we're not trying to put you on the spot. Sorry, but it's about your journey. Well, I mean, I attended a lot of different meetings. I was very, very active throughout the county. And that takes up a lot of time. I went across the state and taught people how to get elected to committee seats. And, that was a big wag the tail, we called it. Went across the state teaching people how to get elected onto the committee seats. At whose expense? Mine. Lost a lot of business. Gave up a lot of my family's time. But I felt like it was my duty. It was put in my heart by God to do this. And that's the way I felt. Then I had to do it. And you drove around all along. And this is to get elected as committee people for parties? In the GOP parties? Yes, to the committee seats, yeah. Because nobody knew what that was. They didn't know that there was committee seats, and they didn't know there was even an organization of Republicans here. Because there really wasn't. It was the Good Old Boys Network. I have a speech on
on YouTube. I mean, I've been on YouTube for a long time, since, 2009, where I made a speech out in Bloomsburg about how it works. And, we have to get Barletta in, and because that's what we had at the time. We had we had to get the Republicans in because we couldn't let this happen to our country.
So at what point do you go, all right, I have to do something?
I got lost.
Yeah,
See, you have to redirect me.
We're going to
Sorry.
bring you back.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, it's okay.
So that was because of Pat O'Malley.
Because of.
Yeah, we didn't like Pat.
The Tea Party didn't.
Nobody did. I didn't know Pat. I'm not a political person. I don't know.
You just didn't like the things he was policy stuff and
right.
what he was doing. Yeah.
Right. And he was out getting pictures and not doing what we thought he should be doing, And he decided to switch from Republican to Democrat. And everybody was like, well, who's going to run now? Who are we going to get to run? And nobody wanted to run. Because he was the
minority at the time, right?
Was he in the commissioners?
Yes, he was already in.
He was a commissioner at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and this is what year?
2012?
That was 2015 when I ran, right?
Yeah, but you guys weren't elected in the same year, right? Were you?
Well, he was already in, I think, 2 terms. And then I ran when he was running as
Democrat. And he switched from R to D the year that you decided to run?
Yes. And I said to the committee, I'll do it. I'll run, because I know all about the county. I've been going to all the meetings. I know all about their budgets. I know what's going on. I knew what needed to be fixed. And I was like, I could tell you exactly what needs to be fixed and how to do it, So they're like, great, let's get you a partner. And I was like, well, okay. And they were going to endorse me like right away. Yes, let's endorse her. So I said, no, don't endorse me yet. Wait until I get a partner. And then you can endorse both of us, so we can run as a team. And that's what I did. I ran with Bill Jones.
And then, so your first election, right?
Yeah. No.
Like for an elected, like an office, like that's not like a committee or.
No, I ran against Matt Cartwright and I ran against Bob Casey.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
You ran against Bob Casey for senator?
Yes, I did.
When was this?
2011.
No shit.
Yeah.
As a independent or as a Republican?
As a Republican, but I wasn't part of the party at the time.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
That must have been fun.
That was great. Great.
Did you get more insight into how the machine works by doing that?
I did, because they asked me to run against Cartwright. There was 10 of us. And if you go out to the New York meeting that they had with all the candidates, because there was like 9 of us that were running against Bob Casey. And I was the only woman. And I was right in the middle. And I had guys on the right and guys on the left. And we had to go out there for a question and answer out there, when they have that big party out there in New York. And I had to stand there with these guys and do all that. And then I had a call afterwards saying, can you run against Matt Cartwright instead? And I was like, you're just afraid I'm going to win. That's what I said to the Republican Party. Yeah. You just don't want me to win because I'm a Tea Party person. And they're like, no, we don't have anyone. And I was like, what does that have to do with me? I want to be a senator, and they talked me into doing it, and eventually talked me into it and said they would help. So that's why I ran. And they said, you're not going to win. They knew I wasn't going to win against Matt.
But were you allowed to bring up issues? At least that?
And I did, yeah. And we debated I debated Matt Cartwright a couple times. I won.
Was he nice to you?
Yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah. Hate his policies, but he's a very nice man.
That's the thing we all need to remember. It's like it doesn't make you a bad person if you don't do. Okay, so Pat O'Malley. All right.
See, we get sidetracked. I did a lot that people don't know about. Yeah.
So he switches. That aggravates you guys?
No, they didn't have anybody to run.
So they just didn't have anybody to run in the Republican primary.
Right.
So how was that process of running in a countywide race?
I had fun. I had a ball doing that, It was a little bit infuriating when, Charlie stepped in and then they started fighting, and there was some things that happened there that I really am not going to talk about because
it's okay.
Who's Charlie?
Charlie Spano. It was me, Bill Jones, and Charlie Spano that ran.
For the primary?
Yeah, in the primary. Yeah. And the funny thing is that I didn't even know that I had won as the first female ever in a commissioner's race in a primary.
Oh, really? I didn't know you had that distinction.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I didn't know that until I won the general election. So I didn't even know that. I thought that Democrats ran and won in a primary for commissioner, a female, because I know that there was women that ran before.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not know that.
So when I talked to Boris on the night of the general election, he said, how does it feel to be the first female ever elected in a primary and general election on the Republican ticket? I said, wow, on the Republican ticket. I said, that's great. Who won the Democrat one? And he said, nobody. You're the first woman ever to win in the primary or general.
So
I was shocked.
So the first woman ever, she gets elected, and then they
By
treat
73 votes.
and then they treat her like shit.
Yes.
So what was the order of like the vote getting in the general your year? Who'd you run against?
Like who came in for first, second, third? Republicans always get
primary-
the
third.
Republicans are always going to be third.
In the primary, I remember L.A. Tyrone said on the radio, he said, him and Sue Henry were talking.
He's one of the smartest people I've ever met.
Love L.A.
Yeah.
He was great. He helped me a lot.
Yep.
He said, Laureen's going to win top vote. And I was like, oh, you just jinxed me.
Right.
And he didn't. I got second. So anyway, it was nice at first. And then Charlie Spano came out and started doing the write-in campaign. And then him and Bill started fighting. And it got nasty. And then it wasn't fun anymore. You know,
It seems like there's no strategic reason to do that.
they just didn't want me in there. That was the whole thing of
They've
all
been
of
fighting-
it.
they-
They just
they've been
didn't
fight-
want me in there.
So who were you partnered up with?
Bill Jones.
Okay.
But me and Bill were friends. You
But
know?
why could Charlie was he running as an independent?
He was literally running as a Republican as a write-in candidate after the primary. He spent a lot of money to run, from what I understand. You guys didn't know any of this?
I'm just saying
This is the look
strategically.
I get all the time when I start talking to people about my story. I get these looks like, wow, really?
I think one of the biggest disservices that's happened to this county is no one has sat and listened to your story. I think it's important, and I think, you know, when you look at it, it's like, hey, we've had the first female elected primary and general election winner for county commissioner here. You think the whole world would be like, hey, that's a good person to talk to.
They ignored it.
I know.
They
That's
treated
like-
me terrible.
I know.
That did break my heart, I have to say. That hurt. And
Where do you think that came from?
from our own party, you know, our own party did that. I don't know. I don't know, really. I just know that, you know, it was terrible. It was 4 years of, you know, backlash.
Once you got elected.
Yeah, it was bad.
So tell me, can you? It's up to you on how much you want to talk about it. What were some, like? Can we do like year 1, 2,
Sure.
3, 4, and just, you know, as it progressed, and it seemed like you were dodging arrows from every direction.
I was, yeah. The Democrats and the Republicans. Yeah.
Yes.
Democrats treated me better than the Republicans, though, I have to say.
No.
Yeah. The Democrat women. Yeah.
Really.
They may not have liked me, and maybe they talked about me or whatever and didn't vote for me, but I don't think they liked the way I was being treated, because they were very kind to me.
All right. So bring me into that atmosphere. And what was it? You got elected in 2015.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's it like? Is there like a, because the joke is always
I
like,
thought Bill was going to win. Let's just get that right out there. I
so you
thought Bill
thought
was
you
going to win. I thought
you
I was
were
going
gonna
to
be-
lose.
You thought you were
I
going to
didn't
be
think I was
out.
going to win. Yeah, because I mean, I knew all summer long that, you know, he was working against me, and it seemed like the party was working against me, and I wasn't getting donations. So I thought, well, you know, and then I think Chuck Volpe and Keith Eckel gave Bill a lot of money in September, and I was like, well, they're not gonna support me, and I'm out, you know. But then apparently there was some kind of Democratic poll that was done, and I won the straw poll on the Democrat side, and that's when people started coming to start donating to my campaign a week before the election.
Which is like too late to do basically anything.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to watch, you know. And then when I did win, they challenged the votes, so I had to sit through that.
What the people that you ran with challenged the votes?
Bill Jones challenged the votes. Yes.
Sounds like a great partner. Great running mate.
Here, we're going to go swimming in the pool. We're going to split it. You can have the bottom. It's like,
You know, it was interesting because, you know, Bill is a nice guy. He is a nice guy. And it was hard to see that he just kind of like had to do what he had to do. And I think it was all because of like politics, you know, like what he was expected to do once he got elected, because his platform was completely different from mine. Mine was cut taxes, no reassessment, no political firings, fix the financial disaster that, if there is one. But I thought Corey O'Brien did a good job when he was in there. So even though I was on him all the time, but I think they did a fairly decent job of keeping the money in hand. Him and
Was it Washoe?
Well, Washoe first, and then
Wanzak.
Yeah. But anyway, so Bill, I think he was just doing what he had to do. That's just the way it is. And he used to say to me, "It's just a game, Laureen. It's just a game."
Yeah. Meanwhile, we're all the pieces.
It's not
on the
personal.
chessboard.
It's not personal. Don't take it personal. And he used to say, "You'll find out who your friends are. Come the election." And
It wasn't Bill.
Was he broadcasting?
Yeah.
He's foreshadowing something.
You're going to find out soon enough who likes you. FYI, it's not me.
So
but he never treated me badly after the election. though. So I did talk to him after that.
so on election night, do you have that, oh shit, I won, or is it, oh shit, I won?
When Boris told me that, I thought I was going to faint because I literally was shocked. I could picture myself sitting on the couch of the place I was at, this house up in Clark Summit. And I was like, what? He said, you won. Yeah, you won by 93 votes. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, you won. And I just screamed it out. And I was like, I don't know really what happened. My phone blew up. I was getting text messages. I must have gotten 5,000 messages that night from people I don't even know congratulating me.
Where were you when I was trying to raise money, jerks?
And I was just kind of in shock, really, because I couldn't understand, what do you mean I won? It wasn't registering in my brain. And the next day I was like, oh man, what do I do now? I have a company. What am I going to do with my company? Because I really did not expect to win. I didn't have anybody that I wanted to bring with me, as a secretary or, I wasn't looking at any of that stuff, and I had a lot of work to do. I was like,
does anybody tell you? Is there anybody once you get elected, they're like, okay, here's what you have to do now? Is there a liaison or somebody, or is it good luck?
That's what started the ball wax of me and Pat O'Malley kind of, joining up. And there was a transition team. So yeah, there is a meeting of the minds. And I'm not going to reveal that. That's going to be in my book, and you'll have to buy that in order to find out what that was about.
Still an entrepreneur. Okay. All right.
And that's a very interesting story, and everybody's going to want to read about that one.
Can you give us hints or a little tease? Or
Yeah, there is a meeting of the minds, and, it is a good old boys network. I can guarantee you all that. And there is people that are above us that you don't know about. So it's true.
And that's how your term started.
Yes.
What do you mean there are people above us?
Above the parties that, they have plans.
At the county level?
Above that.
Above that at the state. And it's big.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Did you know that before you got into office?
No.
Oh, so wait, you were totally blindsided by that too.
Yes.
Couldn't you just tell them no?
I did.
Okay.
And I believe that's why I was treated so badly.
So you're in with O'Malley and who else?
Well, no, what happened was there was a transition. Notariani started a transition team. And I had to go out to CPAC and learn how to be a commissioner at the CPAC thing, which,
That's the commissioners.
County Association of Commissioners.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
Pennsylvania County Association.
Pennsylvania Association of Commissioners,
thank
yeah.
you. So all of us went out, Notariani, myself, Pat, and Evie Rafelka McNulty was out there. I was thinking, why is she out here? So at that time, I really wasn't planning on doing anything other than finding out what happens at the commissioner's level and how to be a good commissioner. And there was some talk between me and Jerry and Pat about how, they're going to have this party at the Scranton Cultural Center. And, Evie was going to do this. And she was asking, that's why she was there to plan this party. And I was like, well, I don't want to go to any. I'm not interested. I don't do that kind of stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. So we went to this 3-day seminar and came back. And then all of a sudden, Evie Rafelka McNulty was the chief of staff. And I was like, wait a minute. How was that decided that she's the chief of staff? I called O'Malley. He didn't answer. I called Natariani. He didn't answer. I called Boris Crouch and Nook. I called the people in my party. I called anybody I could think of. I even called the guy that was on WILK, Corbett. And I said, well, you want to know what's going on? Call me back. I want to know how this happened, you know? So I didn't have any say in that. How does this happen? And nobody was answering me. And then Jerry said, well, listen, we're going to have a transition meeting and we'll talk about all this stuff.
This is before you were sworn in?
Yeah, this was like maybe, I don't know, like date wise or week wise.
Yeah, but just approximates.
Just, yeah, I don't, maybe a couple weeks before we were going into office, you know, because there wasn't that much time. It was November to January. So the transition meeting, I said, well, I was supposed to be going to these meetings and nobody was calling to tell me when these meetings were going to happen. So I was starting to get very upset, and I called our chairman and I called a couple different people. I was like, why am I not involved in these transition meetings? Oh, don't worry. We'll get you involved. You know, 3 or 4 weeks before we were getting into office, I still wasn't being allowed into these meetings. And I said, well, I'm just going to go up there myself. So I did. I went up to the county and I met with all the directors by myself. I didn't care. I just went and met with them myself and asked what was going on. And they told me some things that happened when the transition team came in. I mean, I was like, wait, demands are being made on you from this transition team. And, you know, they were being treated poorly and things like that. And I was like, well, this is not right. So I demanded to meet with the transition team. And the transition team is a whole other thing that I don't want to tell you about, because that's okay. Also in my book about that. But that ended any relationship I had with Jerry Natariani. And I got a call. I called the chairman, Stange, and I said, listen, I am on my own, and I am not going to be dealing with this anymore. And I told him what happened, and he said, okay. So then I get a call back. Would you like to meet with Commissioner Pat O'Malley? And I did. I met with Pat O'Malley. And he said, you know, he told me a story about his sister and everything. And I was like, listen, all you Democrats are crazy. I don't want anything to do with you people. I said, ever since I got elected, this has been nothing but nuttiness going on. I said, you're doing things behind the scenes that I don't know about. I said, sorry, I'm not interested in anything either of you have to say. I am the Republican. I know exactly what I want done, and I'm going to fight for it. And he said, well, what do you want done? And I said, well, like I said, I'm not interested. And I left the meeting. And then I talked to our chairman, and actually Chairman Stange had a lot to do with helping forge some of the things that happened in regards to me getting what I wanted, which was a guarantee on no tax increase and a couple other things that, again, I'll leave in the book.
What?
But there was a lot of things going on behind the scenes, a lot.
So for people who don't understand how it all works,
mm-hmm.
And this is not a negative that I'm going to say. It's like, were you naive to that?
I absolutely was. I didn't know that was going on. I didn't know people did that.
So once this is also not a shitty question. It's not coming from a shitty place. Like, was there an assumption that everyone is trying to do the right thing?
In my mind?
Yes.
No, not that naive. No, I knew politicians were bad. I knew they were nasty people.
But just you didn't know how bad.
I didn't know that there was this true network of what I call the good old boys network, which is real. It's definitely, and you know, I mean, there's court cases where you can go and read about a lot of this stuff in Lackawanna County Courthouse, because Commissioner Natariani sued me and Commissioner O'Malley, and a lot of the things I'm telling you is in the court records and in our testimony. And I mean, Commissioner O'Malley got up there and called him a shadow government.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's not hyperbolic at all.
Yeah.
A shadow government
mm-hmm.
in the transcripts of the lawsuit.
Yes, you can go read it.
He called who a shadow government?
Them.
The county, and all the things that were going on. Yeah.
Who are those people?
Wait
like
till
I
the book.
said, you'll have to read about it.
Buy the book.
Okay.
If they don't kill me before then, because I didn't think I would be talking about it in this show. But
Well, I mean, I don't think you're bringing up anything that people don't realize. I think that they think that there is influence from other places.
I don't know. They're going to be very shocked when they read what I have to say.
When can we expect this book?
And will you come back to push it?
Absolutely. As soon as I
can we talk about it?
As soon as I can find
Then
somebody
will you tell us anything, any of the dark secrets?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I will. And by the way, where's the camera
You got
at?
it right there.
You all know I will, so be careful. It's coming.
Just not today.
Yeah. Once we get sponsors. So that's how it starts. So how do you navigate that for the next 3 or 4 years, just on a policy or like just trying to govern level?
It'll be in the book.
You
Listen.
got to give me something.
God bless Commissioner Patrick O'Malley. I have to tell you that. He's a good man.
Yeah.
So is Jerry Natiriani. But the things that, I wanted done, I literally had, I'm not even lying to you, they were done before I was even in office. Like, it was just amazing. Like, I had a guarantee of all this stuff before. And one of them was consolidation of offices. So, and I always said that in my meeting. My compromise was the Globe. And, I'd do it again. So we saved a lot of money for the taxpayers. We did a good job in there.
So consolidation of offices means like don't have a one-stop shop, go to the same place, because they were spread out everywhere, right?
Everywhere. We were paying $100 and some thousand a year for rentals and utility bills for these places that were up in Mayfield and all over the city of Scranton. I mean, we were paying for the electric city sign. Why do you think it was out? Because Laureen didn't pay for it anymore. I mean, people were mad at me. Business owners were mad at me.
Because of the electric city sign?
A lot of, well, not just that, but rentals were gone. The money's gone. We weren't paying those rentals anymore.
So why was that such a big push for you to consolidate it?
Well, going back to when they weren't paying the bills and they went into office and poor Commissioner Cardero and Munchak walked into a disaster. And I was finding out why. I mean, there was no money. And I was a business owner being affected by that. And so were many, many businesses affected. I wasn't the only one. I wasn't the only one that was being affected by a moratorium on payments. So it's important to run government efficiently because you're hurting people's lives. I was a single mom with 4 kids, and they were getting me in trouble with the IRS because they weren't, they just didn't want to have to
Did you
deal
ever
with
try
it.
suing them?
Yes, I did, and I lost.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How much did that cost?
I don't know. I don't even know how I made it through all that. I honestly don't. That's why I say through the grace of God, I'm here. And it's just a fact. I mean, there's so much that happened in my life. And, I say that God had prepared me for this day. I mean that when I say that. It's true. And there was just so much that happened. And I assume it was because he wanted me to learn just for what I had to do when I got elected and for probably future things. Who knows? I don't know.
Did you want to ask something? Wait, you did sue them.
I took them to the magistrate, yeah. And because they didn't want to pay certain fees on it, like I paid a lot of money to the IRS. I literally, one day I fainted in the IRS office because the IRS is horrible. They're horrible people. They charge you interest rates on top of interest rates on top of interest rates. They call them fees and this and that. And I mean, it was horrible. It was just a horrible experience. And it was all because of the county.
So did you get to correct anything while you were there?
Yes. And actually, like Cardero and Munchak corrected tons of stuff. They got a billing office and they got, they straightened that whole entire place out. And they got the accounting, they hired the current finance, well, he's gone now, the CFO. They hired a lot of people to take care of that. And they got rid of people. I mean, they did a lot of work. And it was administration after administration. It took years, including when me and Commissioner O'Malley were in. I mean, you got to remember, our credit rating was excellent. And that was on the shoulders of many commissioners prior to us, both Democrat and Republican. So a lot of people worked very hard to correct all that.
How efficient or inefficient is government?
Depends on who you want and who you have leading it and who's running the departments. These departments run themselves. There's thousands, there's like over 1,000 employees of the county, and they're all running these departments. You have to lead, when I first went in there, my first day as commissioner, I got our first meeting agenda, right? So we had to, choose the chairman and all that stuff. But then after all that stuff was done, we got our first meeting and we were talking about contracts and, all this stuff that was coming up for signatures. And we had to literally sit there and sign checks by hand for all these people. And I was like, who are these people? Why am I signing this? Like, I don't even know who these people are. I didn't sleep for the first year of being a commissioner. I was up researching all this stuff all the time, just reading, going on the computer, reading every contract that I was accepted, because there was contracts I refused to sign. I just would not sign it because I didn't like the wording and they'd have to change it. So it's a lot of work for a commissioner if they're interested in doing the job. And I know what needed to be done to begin with because I saw it firsthand, like what can happen if it's not done right. And I just felt it was important to do the right thing. So it was a lot of work, a lot of research. And the departments, some of the department heads are good. Some of them are bad. I do agree with a lot of the decisions on the current administration. What they did was clapping in my living room.
So it's a lot of work if you want to put the time in to do a good job.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do a good job, is it easy just to slide through to sign and move on with your day and just basically do nothing?
Yeah. And you could do that too if you want, because I saw commissioners do that as well. But I could think of a few. Well, I'm just going to stop talking there, but
I'm going to invoice you for every time you mention the book, I think.
Actually, it wasn't about the book that time, but
so
still want to say a name.
So as a woman, what was it like and to go through all this? Because it's like you call it the good old boys club, and it's a David and Goliath thing. So like you're up against these obstacles. What is that like from your perspective? Like just trying to like do the right thing, or?
I would walk into that building every morning and I would feel the daggers on my back. I mean, you don't understand. It was very difficult working in there. And not only that, but then I'd go home to my computer and see all the nonsense online. And I went through, I don't know how many pages, like Facebook pages where I had to make it private, start a new one, do another campaign. I mean, people destroyed my campaign pages, destroyed them. And with all the tags and all that kind of nonsense, and I'm just me. Like, I don't have a team of people. It was just me.
Yeah.
I mean,
like, what were they saying? Were they tagging you in memes?
I've had my family threatened. I've had me threatened. I've sent so many names over the district attorney's office when I was in office for people that threatened me and threatened my kids' lives. And I don't talk about my kids on purpose, because I don't want them to have to deal with it. But somehow somebody found a picture of one of my grandchildren and literally threatened them. I mean, it's so disgusting online. I can't even.
But like, what were they saying? Like, what were they threatening you over? Just because they didn't like your policies?
They just didn't like me. I mean, they just didn't, because of the things that were in the paper. I mean, I had Republicans attack me in our committee meetings, saying I was a disgusting person. Because I didn't like gay people. And that's not even true. Like, I don't know how that even became an issue where I don't like gay people. I guess because of the bathroom thing, where I didn't want men in the bathrooms. But you're seeing the results, and I was 100% correct.
Gay people?
Nothing.
Exactly.
It's not even about gay people. Like, it's just so ridiculous. Like, I don't know. I think they just, whatever they can throw against the wall that'll stick, they'll go with. And that's how they destroy people's lives. I mean, look at what they're doing to President Trump. I mean, this man is in court. What president have you ever heard of that's in a courtroom during an election? I mean, I don't even understand.
Over a line item on an accounting.
It's
on the
insanity.
IRS. Like, that's all it is.
It's insanity. I mean, are they going to? And then this one court, I saw a video. This one court case that's coming up. If the Supreme Court says it's okay, or however they decide, is Barack Obama now going to be able to be held accountable for the deaths of those when he did that drone strike?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if Trump is held liable for his decisions, then that should be something that Barack Obama is held liable for.
Every president that's alive right now should be held accountable if that's what for their past crimes.
It's insane. It's just insane.
Well,
so
the problem is they're opening a door that leads to a
Pandora's box. Yep.
I mean, it's like you see now. I think it was the senator who spearheaded rewriting the law to open up the sexual assault claims for Trump with E. Jean Carroll to 30 years.
The New York State senator.
He then just came out now and said that it's unconstitutional a couple of days after he was charged with sexual assault that went back to that timeline. It's like, this is just dumb. Like, what are we doing?
We'll always watch what they're accusing you of because that's what they're doing.
Always, yeah.
But it's like, like what the Republicans are doing right now, and the Democrats call, like the Biden family witch hunt. Okay, but you guys started this. You opened the door for this is how we conduct ourselves in Congress, in the Senate, in the media with, previous presidents. And it's just kind of escalated over time. I think it really kicked off in the 90s with Clinton and then it became Bush more elevated, Obama more elevated, Trump significantly more elevated. And it's like, where do we go from here? Like, if this is the road we keep going down where we play tit for tat politics and now we're using the legal system, like, this isn't good. It's not
bad.
good for New York that, the charges with, they said he inflated the value of his properties, which is just insane because the bank just tells you what they're worth. But like,
if I'm going to sell my house, I'm going to inflate the amount I'm going to ask for too.
That's how it works. Like,
am I going to go to jail for that?
Yeah, if I have a house that's worth $100,000, just use a round number, and I put it on the market for $200,000, I don't get charged with a crime.
Right.
That person then tries to offer me something. The bank says we'll either give you the money or we won't.
Exactly.
That's it. That's how it works.
And why don't people understand that concept?
Because people like Marky was dumb 4 years ago. People get, again, it's emotion over reality and facts. And when you live in a world where emotion is a more prized characteristic than character and facts, and acting on those, it's just a stupid world. Just a really stupid world.
Yeah, it's scary out there now. It's very scary.
Where do you think it went weird? Because I think we can objectively say that, like, over the last 15 years, like, we're not millennials. We can remember a time before cell phones and Sega Genesis and Unsolved Mysteries on TV. And
it was back in 2009, I think, when Whoopi Goldberg, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and someone else did the first meeting out in New York. And they sent computers across the world that we all paid for, by the way. And that's when you saw the first worldwide rally. I don't know if you remember.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, everybody was out protesting. And that's when they got the one guy from, I'm terrible with names back then. I'm sorry. One of the leaders, they beat him up. From Iraq, right? Yeah. What was the guy from Iraq?
Saddam Hussein?
Yeah, when they got him out in the streets and they took down his statue.
No.
Was that him?
You're talking about Gaddafi.
Was it Gaddafi? I don't know.
It was Muammar Gaddafi. It was Libya. Was it Libya? Yeah. And they stabbed him.
Right. It was all on the internet.
It was awful.
Yeah, it was horrible. And
then Hillary Clinton was like, "We got him. He's dead." Yeah.
But there was rallies across the world against all that stuff. And how did that happen? That's not organic. How did that happen? It was because we paid for all those computers. And like, I was like, this is crazy. Like, is this? And then ever since then, now you're seeing community organizing everywhere. The kids are being taught. And I blame the four of them. And Harry Reid too. And Nancy Pelosi. I think they had that all planned.
So you think that was an orchestrated?
Yes. Whatever this New World Order, maybe. I don't know who helped fund it.
Well,
I don't know.
The story is they got pissed at Gaddafi because he wanted to start his own bank. And that's when they went in to get after him. Do you remember that where they stabbed him in the ass with a bayonet?
I've probably watched it 100 times.
It's terrible.
It's disgusting.
And so do you think that that's where, like, everything started to
when
change?
everybody had their hands on a computer and got on the internet that's what happened.
So you're saying the ability
for communication like that.
Okay.
For them to organize all those people, because they organized those people. They brought them to New York and trained them and sent them back with these computers. And I think that was the downfall of all of it.
Of all of what?
All of this stuff happening, because it's all, or they're saying it's organic and it's not. Like when you see these protests, you see
protests today
Black Lives Matter protests went across the world. How'd that happen?
at the same time.
At the same time.
Back in the summer of 2020.
2020. Protests were happening across the world with that.
Are you saying that they're happening because of the access to communication, where communication
Yes,
is at like
yes.
you can talk to somebody in Antarctica in a half a second?
Yes.
So that way you can get messages out, and you can, in essence, propagandize people.
Yeah.
So they're
very good at propagandize. I'm not.
Well, that word's illegal. They made that illegal until 2012. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. No.
So President Obama signed an executive order to basically legalize propaganda again. And that, I think, was in 2012, 2013. I forget the name of it. But
he's an evil man. He's an evil man.
Well, when I look at the timeline of like when everything started to get squirrely, it looks right around that time.
Yeah,
where nobody was held accountable for the news.
But he is the product of Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid. Harry Reid is the one that told him, from what I understand, that he was going to run, and that's why
Harry Reid from Nevada, from Las Vegas.
He put Barack Obama on the ballot
For what?
for president.
Well, because he was a senator, and Harry Reid was the president of the Senate. He was the majority leader of the Senate. Harry Reid was, and Barack Obama was a one-term as of that moment.
Yeah, because then he lost to first he lost and then he won, but Harry Reid put that all together. And these people are very smart, like Pelosi and Reid and all those older politicians. They're very, very shrewd, and they're very smart, and they know what they can get away with and what they can do. They're very smart.
And Nancy Pelosi's dad was the mayor of Baltimore for many years. many years. Like, it's when you look at it on a time lapse instead of just like in the moment, when you look at it on like, here's the graph of like 1940 to like 19 here, you can kind of see like it's a little something. There's weird things that happen and there's no explanation for it. Besides the tinfoil ones.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's that weird that Harry Reid saw a charismatic, very good speaker and was like, we should run him for president. That seems like a logical choice.
Without any experience or anything, like they pick their people.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing, but
because they can win.
Do they pick but it's not about, I think what we all say is it should be the right person, not the one that can win. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you have to look at ability to do the job well and opportunity to win.
I don't think any of these politicians have the ability to do their job.
No.
That's where you're at now?
Yeah, I think that because I've seen what even in our own party, I've seen what they elect, and I know how they get elected, and I know how they pick them. I know exactly how they pick them because I've been on committees and I've watched it. I'm a state committee person still to this day, and I know how they elect them, and I know how the Democrats do it too. I've seen, how they pick them out, and I just don't believe it's about, like, in other words, they don't want people like me that have ideals that are saying, I want to save taxpayers' money. I want to do this, do that. They want to talk about LGBTQ and Black Lives Matter and whites and blacks, and we have to hate each other. They want to divide us all, and that's how they conquer this, and that's how they're getting away with all this nonsense. Me, I just want to save money. I want to help the people that I'm representing. That's all that people like me look at. We don't want to control people's lives. We don't want to have anything to do with, their health care. We don't want to tell them what doctor to go to. We don't want to make money off of them through the stock market. And all these other people do. And that's the way I see it. I don't think any of them were there for a reason like I want. They are there for money and power and to control things. And they have to hire people that don't know what they know so that they can control them and just say, hey, I'm going to get you your retirement plan. I'm going to get you your salary for the rest of your life. And I'm going to keep you where you're at or let you, grow up the chain. They always say, oh, well, it's their turn to run. There's no turn to run. Like, that's ridiculous. What do you mean it's their turn to run? You can run for office. You could run for office. This is America. This isn't, over in Europe where, it's a banana republic, although it's turning into one, I think. But, this should be about the heart and soul of America, which is freedom, independence, the ability to start your own business without the government coming in and destroying that. And that's what they're doing. They're taking over businesses. The healthcare bill has destroyed the medical community. completely, as we saw with COVID. I mean, what they did to us with COVID is completely outrageous. People should be suing and they should be up in arms over that. I don't understand why nobody's fighting that. I don't get it.
What do you mean when you say the healthcare bill destroyed the medical industry? What healthcare bill? The Affordable Care Act?
Affordable Care Act, yeah. Obamacare is what I call it, but it's not a healthcare policy. It's a law. And that's, people don't understand that it's a law. It's not a healthcare plan. And, they dictate these laws down to the insurance companies, and that's what they have to do, and they priced us all out of the market. That was the whole plan altogether. They say, oh, we had 13 million new people sign up for Obamacare or the ACA this year. Yeah, because you priced them out of the market. They were paying $1,800 a month for health insurance. They couldn't afford it anymore. So yes, they had to go to the government for help. That's what happens. That's what they wanted to do to begin with.
So you become dependent.
Right. They want everybody on this universal health care. That's their end goal. And that's how they do it. And they don't care who they hurt to get there. And they've hurt a lot of people.
So what you're saying is that they've made insurance so unaffordable for private insurance that
Correct.
you now have no option to jump and take this, whatever the hell this is.
What business do you know that would agree to the government telling them you can only take referrals from January to March?
I don't know. I never heard of one in my life.
The insurance industry did.
What do you
That's
mean?
your enrollment period. That's the only time they can accept enrollment period.
What, insurance company?
Yes, they can't take you
The
after
Obamacare.
any insurance company in America has to follow that law. They cannot accept new people onto their plans outside of that enrollment period, unless
any insurance company?
any insurance company. It's against the law. That's the Obamacare law. That's the law of the land, is the ACA.
We signed up for insurance, my wife and I, in August of last year.
Did you just get married, get a new job, get fired,
No.
start a business? Well, you had to meet one of the 10 essential things. So something, was she pregnant? Did you lose
God,
a job? Something happened that you were allowed to do that. There's rules to that. But you can't just, decide to get insurance at any time other than that enrollment period.
So what if I have like Blue Cross or something? Can I hop over to something else in like July or no? I can only do January. Would you say January through March?
It depends on your circumstance. Like if you lose your job, you can look them up. I mean, like I said, don't believe anything I say.
There's
Look
like
them up.
life events, basically they call them, that you can like that. So you could like change or enroll.
Change your job. Yeah.
If somebody dies, if you have a child, like you're saying, like anything that's a
But if none of those, so what you're saying is if none of those things happen, you can't do it.
Not until the enrollment period. No.
I'm not sure if you're a new enrollment, maybe. I mean, we'd have to look this up, but that could be the only thing I could think of, like Micah, is that like if you didn't have anything before, you can maybe able to come on as a new person mid-year. But if you're switching, maybe you can't then. But yeah, there is like limited events that like you can't, that you could change things, could change policy. But
yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I read that bill and I didn't know that until it happened to me. So in 2014, when the law went into effect, I thought, well, I still have my Geisinger, so I'm good, but I didn't realize like my insurance ran out in April, and I thought, well, I'll just call up Geisinger and I'll just renew. Right. And they're like, we don't make that policy anymore. I said, why not? It's against the law. Didn't you read the law? It doesn't cover the covered services that you required. So they no longer have that policy anymore. So you can't keep your insurance, like he said, and you can't keep your doctor, like he said. That was all a bunch of crap. And they don't, they mince their words so that you don't understand what's happening. I read that bill and I didn't know that I couldn't sign up. And I was without insurance from that April until the next year in January.
When you became commissioner?
No, that was the year before. So for 1 year in 2015.
Oh, okay.
And my insurance went from $150.
Oh, here it is. Open enrollment. How can I enroll in health coverage? November 1st, open enrollment starts. December 15th, deadline to enroll coverage that starts January 1st. January 15th, open enrollment ends. Last day to enroll for coverage that starts February 1st. After January 15th, you can only get a health plan if you qualify for a special enrollment period.
Correct.
Click on that, Dan.
Is this up in the browser too?
no, you're just reading it.
Yeah, well.
Oh, that's boring.
A time outside the yearly open enrollment period when you can sign up for health insurance. You qualify for a special enrollment period if you've had certain life events, including losing health coverage, moving, getting married, having a baby, or adopting a child, or if your household income is below a certain amount.
Well, that's because you go on medical assistance.
Is that just for the Affordable Care Act?
That's
No, it's
for
all
any
insurance.
insurance. That's the law. That's the government, man. That's the Obamacare law on the insurance companies. They were told they cannot enroll people in their policies.
Well, my
outside the
insurance is
enrollment
breaking the
period.
law.
Did you have insurance before?
Nope.
Wait a minute. No,
That's
no.
why.
Wait a minute. No. You are under Trump's new rule. So he got rid of that. Trump got rid of the
enrollment period?
No, he got rid of certain things where he got a new insurance. I don't remember exactly how it worked, but he did something that changed that, something about if you had insurance before you can sign up or something like that. And he also got rid of the $695 fee that you would have to pay if you didn't have insurance all year. So there was no more.
Yeah, there was a penalty. You remember
no
that,
more
right?
penalty.
Oh yeah.
For what?
If you didn't have insurance, you would be penalized and you'd owe the government money.
Yeah.
They take it out of your taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But every year it went up. Every year you didn't have it, it would go up higher.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So what? Like, people don't understand what they bought into with this healthcare bill. I mean, it took me and a couple other doctors and nurses across the country. We all took sections of the bill and read it, and then got on our calls and discussed each section about what they were. And it's crazy stuff like that they did to the American people, and they don't even understand it. And here, we're saying hands off our healthcare, and we're being made to look like, we don't want people to have insurance. But again, so my point with all that was going back to the affordability of it. They call it the Affordable Care Act, when in fact, what they're trying to do is make it unaffordable for people so that they hop onto the Obamacare exchanges. And because the exchanges, the federal government helps pay according to your income for some of that premium every month. So that's what I'm on now too, because my insurance went from $150 a month with a $250 deductible to $1,200 a month.
Holy shit.
With a $17,000 a year deductible. That's what I was paying before I went on to Obamacare. Who can afford that?
Nobody.
Nobody.
So how does that dovetail into like the last 4 years with healthcare?
Well, that's
like since the pandemic.
Well, people can't afford it, and as a matter of fact, President Biden paid for a lot of people's premiums from January to I think May of 2020 because they weren't working, But and I was a beneficiary
I think it was March.
of that.
March was the shutdowns. So
Was it March?
Yeah, they weren't allowed to. I think it was March like 16th, 17th, 18th, something like that.
16th.
16th. Yeah.
Okay.
So from March 16th was the PA lockdowns. I think other states locked down earlier and a few later.
Well, I mean, the way it's ruining healthcare is because now the government is making all these mandates. Like I just said to you, what company do you know that wouldn't take new customers other than a 3-month time frame? Well, why would you do that? I don't know. Why would they do that? Because there's going to be probably 3 or 4 big conglomerates that are going to get all the business, which has probably already happened. I just don't know about it. And they're the only companies that are going to be left. All these other smaller companies that we used to be able to get at a better rate and we picked what we wanted covered. Like I always tell people, I'm going to be 60 this year, so I don't have the need for maternity, but my insurance policy has to cover it because the law says maternity has to be included in every policy. You're a man, it has to be covered under your policy. So that's what increases the cost.
2024.
Men can have babies too.
It's funny. They still sit down to pee. It's like weird. That's getting covered under the healthcare too now.
Well, all this stuff is increasing the costs of the insurance, the policy. And
it's
then,
all getting subsidized by the government.
Right. And the federal government covers 90% and the states cover 10%. So I don't know if that's still the breakdown of it or not, but that's what it was when it first came out.
So do you want to talk about pandemic or any of that crazy shit?
Sure.
You feel comfy with it?
Yeah.
So you're in home health care.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like for you at the beginning?
the pandemic? Or,
Yeah.
Well, I didn't believe them.
I know.
I didn't believe anything they were saying.
I assumed it.
And
But like, how did your business? How did you navigate the beginning of that?
Well, the state sent out letters to us all that we had to start using, PPE. And I was like, okay. So I call a couple of my suppliers and they're like, we don't have any gloves. We don't have any masks. I was like, what do you mean you don't have them? So they were giving them to like other countries before us because, we're supposed to be this wealthy country. So we don't deserve them as much as everybody else, I guess, So I literally was calling plumbers that I know for masks because they had like these masks that I can use and they were horrible. So I said to my patients, I said, look, if you want me to wear a mask or you want my girls to wear a mask, then you can find another agency because we're not going to do that.
And what was the reception to that?
We don't want to. Some of these Alzheimer's patients were afraid of the people walking into the house. Like they wouldn't let them in the house because they were like scared of these people with these masks, So, that's the way it was. And that's the way I did it. And I thought,
did most of your clients stay with you?
Yeah, they didn't. Well, I can't hire anybody anymore. So, I mean, my business is really hurting bad, but I'm still here. I fought the good fight and I'm still here. But it's been very, very hard staffing. It's very difficult.
So, well, it seems like it shouldn't be because you didn't have any of those mandates or anything at your business. Like you didn't, and it seemed like all your clients stuck with you.
But I don't take government money.
Oh.
I'm private pay. So, to them,
Gotcha.
What do you mean you don't take government money?
I don't take government funding. I don't take Medicare. I don't take any of that. It's all private pay. I stopped taking government money back in, well, I guess when the county was the last client I had at the nursing home. So that was that. Done.
And you didn't do it because it's just, it's not.
I didn't want to have to depend on somebody not paying. Like, they
because
almost
you already went
crushed
through
me.
that. You already went through that.
Why would I ever depend on a government to pay me money when they could just stop paying me and just not get into trouble for it? I mean, I literally had to work. Like, I was doing my office plus going out and doing shift work at the nursing home, working 3 to 11, and sometimes even until 3 a.m, coming home sleeping for 3 hours and then going back to work again and then going back on 3 to 11. And I mean, it was really difficult. It was hard to keep my company going with that kind of stuff happening in it. But I survived.
So wait. So over the last few years, you can't find work? You can't find help?
Oh, now they want $20 an hour to go into a 80-year-old person's house and, make 3 meals and give them a shower.
How much staff did you lose that was like incentivized to basically not work and get free money?
Well, I had some die. I did have some. I lost
staff.
Some. Yeah, and one I know got that shot and had a heart attack. So I don't know if it's that or not. But anyway,
how soon?
I don't know because they didn't tell me when they got it because I didn't make anybody get the shot. And I said, that's up to you. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you. I don't care what you do. None of my patients got the shots.
How are they doing?
Great.
No.
Yeah.
You don't say.
I didn't get the shot. Did you get the shot?
No. We're in a room full of purebloods here.
Yeah. None of my kids got the shot.
No.
I mean.
What made you skeptical of that? 2003 Bush?
No, I'm a nurse. I'm not an idiot. I mean,
okay, so let's talk to me as a nurse.
I take an oath to do no harm. They don't know anything about these shots. To this day, they don't know anything about them other than, it seems like people are dying after they get a couple of them, but, and that's just a fact. I mean, they've admitted to the cardiac problems between, young men up until the age of 40. I don't know about these clots because they look like fibrinogen. They don't even look like clots. I don't know what they are.
They're like these white rubbery things. But
I mean, I didn't
tendrils.
see. I can only take the word of people that are doing this, But
I know a couple people.
Yeah. All I know is it doesn't just take 3 months to come up with a vaccine. It's 10 years before you have a really good result of testing and all that kind of stuff. And there was no way I was putting that in my body. I didn't care if Trump said yes. I didn't care if Biden said yes. I didn't care who said yes. I wasn't putting that in my body.
How do you feel about Trump supporting that?
I thought he was ridiculously stupid, and I was very upset that he did it. I mean, what's wrong with him? And that Fauci should have been fired automatically. Like, I was really upset with Trump because I thought, I believe in him, and here he is listening to this guy, this idiot, that's saying that it's good to wear a mask. When I, as a nurse, no, it's not. I'm not an idiot. I mean, I am an actual nurse, and he's trying to say, yes, nurses wear these masks, for a reason. It was hard enough getting universal precautions with gloves back when HIV came out. Patients don't want to see people walking in their house with a mask. I mean, don't be ridiculous. That's not a good thing for anyone. It's just not. And I, to this day, still think the reason they pushed that mask mandate was for BLM and all those crazy Antifa people
to be outside with no
yes, to hide their faces, and because they were getting.
It's funny because it's still happening now.
Yeah, which I'm looking at those videos and I'm thinking, take your mask off because we're not under COVID anymore.
Well, the mask thing happened well before George Floyd.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't follow those kind of people.
So yes, but the mask, like keeping it on.
Yeah.
No,
I don't think they were.
Really.
They weren't allowed in banks and stuff. Like they weren't allowed in stores and all that kind of stuff.
It was 2 weeks into the shutdowns and they were doing masks.
Yeah, we had to do masks.
Oh, that's yeah. But I thought you were talking about like before, where it's like, oh, everyone's masked walking around places. Like we were like they poo-pooed that. Like even if you walked in the county, take the mask off. But we need to see who you are when you're walking in here for the cameras.
Yeah, it wasn't mandated. It wasn't a mandatory thing. Like it was a suggestion. And even when I called into the radio station, I said, you can't mandate that somebody wears a mask. And even like they were saying, well, they asked the governor. So. And Governor Wolf was like, well, no, we can't mandate it, but I'm sure that their licensure or their insurance companies would be interested to know if they're not. That's an interesting
flex, isn't it?
That's a threat. And I think that companies were threatened into complying with this stuff, and that's why they did it. And I just think that's why weren't the people fighting it? And there was some people that fought it, like that pizza place fought it, and they got
Mastriano was fighting it. He was doing a good job, I think. Doug?
Well, but it wasn't the fight I was looking for. The fight I was looking for was for businesses to be able to run their business the way they want. And if they wanted to wear masks, great. If they didn't, great. If their customers wanted to wear a mask, great. If they didn't, great. But to be tortured and threatened, all these threats that came out of the administration was very upsetting to me. And I don't know if you saw it as a threat, but to me, to say if your insurance company or if your licensure depends on...
I see it as a threat.
...on that, then that's a threat. And I think that should have been pointed out and nixed by the Republican Party. I think the Republican Party should have said, that's a threat. And that's uncalled for. And because then the people would have felt more comfortable saying, yes, it is a threat, and they would have pushed back. But that didn't happen. Nobody stood up for the businesses. Nobody. If I was a county commissioner at that time, things would have been a lot different. I can guarantee you that.
Do you think that they were going on? Do you think that everybody? So you're talking about the governor saying that publicly?
Yes, and you can go look at his.
No, I agree. I agree with you. He said that. But do you think that was happening privately amongst groups? In other words, saying like, if you don't adhere to this, we can't give you, certain things, and it's basically it ends up being extortion or blackmail.
Well, when nobody pushed back against the governor saying that, and all the radio stations and all the newscasters and the newspaper were saying his words, you put the fear of God into business owners and they just shut up. What were they going? They didn't fight back. Nobody fought for them. Nobody in government came out and said, that's a threat. You can't do that. That's a threat to businesses. This is America. You can't. I mean, I did, but I wasn't anybody at the time. Who am I? I'm the one that everybody says crazy. So, don't listen to her because she's crazy. So I went on the radio multiple times and pushed back on that. I kept telling them, get the doctors on the line. I want to hear them over the radio say that there's no treatment for this. I want to hear them tell me, I want to record it. And I did. I recorded them saying that there's no treatment for this. You have to stay home. Don't go to the hospital. Don't go to your doctor. I want to hear them say that that's the protocol.
Yeah,
as a physician.
Wait until you turn blue and then call 911.
Yeah. Give me a break. I mean, they were saying the hospitals were jam-packed. Well, I drove up to CMC and all those hospitals, and they were empty. There was furloughing nurses in the beginning of the pandemic. I mean, people were too afraid to go to the hospital. I have people today that still haven't got, they still haven't opened their windows. They're afraid of the air.
Really?
Yes.
What, like your patients?
Yeah, and their families. Yeah, won't even open a window because the president said it's in the air, you know, and that was President Trump.
Really?
Yeah. There's a lot of, you know, I love President Trump. I support him, but Fauci really got into his head, and I really didn't like that. I was very upset about that.
You were asking
Fauci should have been fired. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize. I do that a lot too. Sorry.
Okay.
Just jump in, cut me off.
What was your question?
I don't remember.
I'm sorry. See, I got him.
It's okay. Where do we go from here? Because we're at like 90 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
It goes by fast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it fun? See, were you nervous? And now it's like, oh, it's fun. It's like a bunch of people sitting around
Well, I'm going
talking
to be in
shit.
so much trouble after this, but that's
Why?
okay because people are going to be calling me and saying, "What did you do?"
I think we've said
been out
worse
in
stuff
public.
in the past.
Oh yeah, this is nothing.
Yeah, you're good.
I haven't been in public. I've maintained a quiet.
Well, look, number one, I'm grateful that you responded and said that you would do it.
Mhm.
And I think that like everybody, I definitely need an opportunity to dispel my presumptions. And I think, you know, I know you have the issues that you have with the people that you have. And, you know, I totally agree that you feel that way. And I've said to quite a few of them, I'm like, she's not the enemy, man. She is not a bad person. And has anyone sat and talked to her? And the answer is always resoundingly no. And I'm like, well, maybe you should, you know, because I think she's a good person and she's a valuable human being on this planet.
Oh, thank you, Mark. I appreciate that.
So, is there any hope for us? It's my favorite question. Are we all going to die?
It'll be in the book.
That's going to be the outcome of this whole entire thing.
It'll be in the book.
I don't know. I'm scared. I mean, I believe.
I mean, you saying that like, do you really mean that, or?
I just don't know. I know where I'm going. I know if anything happens, I'm safe. I don't have to worry, you know, and I shouldn't worry about anything, but I worry about people all the time and I drive myself crazy. But, the mail-in ballots are a real problem. And, it's unless you have a lot of people out there to help you get these mail-in ballots, I don't see how anything is winnable. Or unless a lot of Democrats just say, you know what, I'm not voting because these people all suck like I kind of did, then that might be helpful. That might work too. I know a lot of Democrats that aren't going to vote for the Democrat Party this year. I mean, they tell me that.
Well, they always tell you, you know, and then you don't know what they do that day.
Yeah.
I think after what happened in Georgia yesterday at their hearings about the mail-in ballots and the shit, I think there's gonna be some weird stuff happening.
I didn't see it. Sorry.
Yeah, they've investigated this for 4 years and they came to the conclusion that there's 380,000 ballots that should not have been counted in Georgia.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's all over the X, the Twitter, whatever you want to call it.
But so what happens? Is Biden no longer the president? No.
Hey man, they still don't know whose cocaine was in the White House. You know what I mean? So, you know, you always kind of go like, you know, we don't know. Do you have hope or don't you? I mean, I know that you're right with Jesus. So, do you have hope for?
I don't know if I even care anymore, to be honest.
I'm seeing that. It's making me nervous. Other people saying that.
I just, because I really put a lot of I put my life on the line for my country. I did. And years and years, I worked like very difficult and very hard. I drove to Boston by myself in a snowstorm to help elect somebody out there. I've gone to Washington, drove out there by myself. I mean, I did some pretty scary things that I never would have expected to do alone. And, you know, I gave up a lot of time for my family, which ended up being a huge disaster for me. I had some things happen that, I could have lost one of my children because of it. I just feel like I let them down. And so I just don't know that there's that kind of person out there anymore. There was a lot of me's back in 2009. And now I don't see it. I don't see a lot of, like, I was so happy when those the Greek frat guys stood up for the flag.
Oh yeah,
North Carolina.
I mean, I was like, that gave me hope. Things like, if that generates, or if that starts a movement of young men standing up for our country, I will have hope. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for that to happen. And Rick Santelli, that was his name.
Son of a bitch.
That was amazing.
It takes a Rick Santelli to get out there and, say, listen, let's start a tea party. And that's what he did. And that's how that happened. So these young men, I'm so proud of them. And, if I see that in our young people in these colleges, which we need to happen, we need parents. I mean, in some of these graduations, did you see these graduations? Like, if your child was graduating and a bunch of protesters walked in and tried to destroy that graduation, would you allow that? Would you do something, anything to stop that if nobody was doing anything to stop it?
I don't know.
I would. I mean,
like, I don't know. Like, I'm imagining, 50,000 people, and I'm like, what do I do? I think the school
drag them out.
Look, I hear you. We used to not put up with that shit, and now it's almost like we're in this place where if you have any action that can be perceived as negative, then it is then violence, then it is then a threat, then it is then your enemy. Like, that's how they look at it. They don't look at it as like, hey, dude, you're being an asshole. Not the time, not the place. You've been on the campus for 4 weeks now bitching about this. Can you just give us 2 hours so Petey can walk the stage and his parents aren't miserable? And you can go eat at Applebee's and everybody's okay. I don't agree with it. A simple
graduation, and there was thousands of people in that, and a couple.
I think they're all afraid.
What school was this at?
Was it Columbia? No, not Columbia.
No, I don't remember.
Who the hell was it? It was somebody over the last 3 days or something like that.
Yeah, and there was a graduation ceremony, and right in the middle, there
was 100,000 people at this graduation.
It was huge.
So I'm assuming it was like a state school.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the what do you call those, hijabs or whatever?
They had the flags, those Palestinian flags,
and
I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Not one parent there. Not one parent stood up and said, "Get out! We're not putting up with this." Like, all you people could have just wiped those people out, and you just sat there.
I think nobody knows what to do. I think the conservative side, whatever that is now, is
they're afraid of J6. That's what they're afraid of.
Well, I mean, you drag somebody out of there, that is assault.
Who cares? I wouldn't care.
But that's
arrest me.
It's the security's there, the police are there. They have every right to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Police have the right to arrest
Wait, but you're trying to tell me there's 100,000 people at a college where there's been mass protests supporting fucking Palestinian stuff, and the security guards aren't there? Oh, there it is.
Look there's a small little crowd
Ann
of them.
Arbor.
It's not like they're a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was
they're allowed to do it. I don't like it.
No, they shut it down. No, they shut it down. That's what they were doing. They were protesting and shutting it down and screaming.
Yeah, and the cops were just standing around them, and I was like,
well, the cops can't do anything because you have a constitutional right to assemble to protest.
Yeah, you don't have the right to disrupt that because of
I believe that's the largest college football stadium also.
Oh, that's Michigan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
oh, it's Michigan. That's why they got away with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but also now imagine this, right? Imagine you're in a group. You're what's that? 125,000 people fit in that stadium.
Oh,
it's
sure, yeah.
massive, right?
Yeah.
Now you go like this. Now you go, okay, we're gonna get this group of 20. See, look, they're pushing back. USA.
Oh, good. Oh, well, then there you go. Then I feel that there's hope. They're doing something.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to be. Like I think that if you're gonna go up there and say things like that, you got to expect other people to say you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they're not as loud, and sometimes they are. And if they are, you pick the wrong room to be in. I'm seeing the pendulum swing back.
Then I have hope. If you're seeing it, then I have hope because I'm not watching it as much.
I'm just not seeing it as fast as I would like it to. Mm-hmm. Like I wanted to go back to like 1993 when I was a Democrat and like things made sense and we were allowed to question things and we could question anything. We could say Bigfoot, UFOs, flat Earth, angels, fairies. The moon's made a hollow. Like that was 1990. That was the 90s for me. We were allowed to say that, and no one thought you were a crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fun, and it was like, hey, there is something to that. And now you can't go, hey, Joe Biden did not create more jobs than any president in human history. And they're like, you're a liar. And you're like, that's not even fringe. That guy just got the jobs back that were lost during COVID.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's not an accomplishment, Joe. So
that's a good one.
Will you come back?
Yeah.
When you
If
write
I
the
haven't
book,
bored you
when
enough.
the book is okay. When you're done with the book, will you come back?
I'll come back anytime. I
All
don't
right.
care.
Did you think you were going to be nervous and that we're going to be jerks, or?
No, I just thought I was going to be a little nervous, and I was a little scared to come in, but
Because it looks like a warehouse and you have no idea if there's like.
no, because I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't know,
It's just a warehouse, and then we kind of put up some paintings and.
Well, you got to remember.
fun
I mean,
art.
I watched some videos of you guys. I don't know if it was you guys. It wasn't you. It was Mr. Howe or something like that. They didn't like me.
Who?
Mr.
Oh, John Howe.
Yeah.
I don't think John Howe ever mentioned. Did he?
Yeah.
I have to go back and watch it
Yeah,
again.
we have to go back and watch.
Oh, there was a couple of things on me.
About you
Yeah.
on our show.
Yeah.
Did I
Yeah.
not defend you?
You weren't there. You weren't there.
It
on
wasn't
some of
our
them.
show.
It was. I don't know what it was.
Maybe it was politics and make it fashion.
Was it Amber's?
I don't know. See, I shouldn't say things
Are you
like
confusing this bearded white man for a black lady?
Which one? Me?
Or this one. This ginger face.
She was. I think we need to start talking to each other again. That's like my ultimate thing. I want to reduce human suffering and make sure that everyone exercises their right to talk. And I think that is a good place. I don't know if we're going to be able to heal from this, but we have to. Otherwise, it's an authoritarian world.
Well,
and
I mean,
we're subjects.
the Republican Party is just as broken as the Democrat one is.
They're not doing well. No.
But they did that by treating people the same.
Oh, I want to throw a real quick loop for you.
Yeah.
Throw you for a real quick loop. RFK Jr. Where you at on him?
He's all right. I mean, I don't agree with a lot of the things that he wants to do. Like, I don't agree with some of his environmental stuff, but I think that they need some independent candidates out there. I think that's probably where we're going to end up. I mean, I think that's going to start on local level.
What do you mean? That's where we're going to end up? You think he's going to win?
No. I think what you're
think-
saying is the D's and R's are going to force people to be I's and.
Yeah, because it's a uniparty now. So I mean, you have the uniparty that's ticked off everybody.
Oh, yeah. Both parties are done.
Yeah.
They're going to have to
So
morph into
something
something
has
else,
to-
or something else is coming.
Come up, and I think it's probably going to. I think he's probably going to start an independent maybe party that is more. I don't know because I know a lot of people are going to vote for him that are Republicans. So, I don't know what that means, but I don't like some of the environmental stuff that he does. So I don't agree with that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's going to happen. I think the parties are done. I saw the vote totals. I mean, it's bad.
The vote totals in the last election.
A lot of undervotes. Like people just went in and voted Trump, and then they
in
left.
the primary.
Yeah.
Yeah, all politics is local, man. Like you have to. Who's your dog catcher? Who's your tax collector? Who's your mayor? Who's your county commissioner?
I mean, unless your taxes are your biggest priority, then it's definitely federal.
Well, the local level has just. I mean, it's just.
That's where they have the
fizzled
ability to
since
screw you.
Gone, just gone. I mean, I just don't see any. I get calls all the time. I'm done. Don't call me to do this anymore. Or I'll make phone calls, trying to tell people about stuff that is going on. We're not interested.
So nobody even wants to participate with you anymore. They're just
not just me, just nothing. They don't want. It hurts.
They're so disheartened.
Yeah, they've been personally hurt by how they've been treated. And
what do you mean?
Well, they weren't taken seriously throughout the past. I mean, I know people that worked very hard going door to door. All of them did. Every committee person worked very hard, and they were disrespected. And
nobody was grateful for what they did.
No, not at all. And
what were they doing?
Like going door to door and volunteering and doing all the legwork. Like the
Oh, you're talking about like volunteers for politics.
Yeah, and they didn't get paid. I mean, none of these committee people get paid. Oh, so you're not familiar with the Democrat and Republican Party
dynamics.
dynamic? Like you don't know the groups and how they're...
No, I thought you were talking about just like the general public.
That's
I'm
who
sorry.
it is.
Not
That's
wanting-
who it is. Yeah.
Well, because we were talking about voting, and so I thought we were talking about the general public and people getting out to vote.
Well, the committee people are the ones that get the general public out to vote. They're the ones that get people energized
you get
and
wards
excited.
and districts and stuff
And
like that.
They
Leaders.
have, this is like, these are very important people within your area. Like in every ward, you have a male and a female Republican and a male and a female Democrat.
They've never knocked on my door.
Well, they know that they're good here.
Are you Republican?
No.
Okay. So
He's not a Democrat either.
I have been.
Oh, you're not a Democrat either?
Nope. I've been both. I'm currently an independent.
And nobody ever knocked on your door?
No, never once.
Were you a Democrat before?
Yeah.
Okay. So then that makes
They
sense.
know that this is a safe area.
Because the way it works,
Yeah.
just so you know, is the Republican Party and the Democrat Party have their committee people,
Right.
and they go out and they get people energized to vote
They're supposed
in their
to.
own little areas, right? You don't even know you're talking to a committee person. They're just getting out there and getting out the vote. They go to the restaurants. They go to, they talk to everyone. And they don't say, hey, I'm your local committee person. I'm going to get you energized to vote.
Right.
They say, did you see the price of eggs today? How about mayonnaise? It's $8 for a jar of mayonnaise. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell's going on in this world? A jar of mayonnaise is $8. And these are talking points.
Are these elected officials?
Yes, you elect them
Yeah, you can elect committee. You elect
every
committee
4
people.
years.
Yep.
Yeah. And you can get elected on just writing your name in. I'm doing my spiel. Uh-oh.
Do it. She taught Scott Pressler.
Yeah.
I probably did.
Look, I'm going to do it again, even though you don't think I need to. I apologize for all the things in the past that I said. And when you write your book, you don't need to vet them through me. I said them. I just want the record
Dan,
to be.
pull one up.
No, please don't. It's really bad.
I just want the record to be clear that I don't regret that because it made me a better person and it made me look at my behavior. So in that way, I look at it as a positive. And if you took it, I can't take back the way that you took it, but I can maybe fix the future about that.
The hardest part for all that stuff, and I don't know if you guys are interested in hearing about it.
I am.
Is I didn't even know who you were. And I thought, all these people.
big.
all
Surprisingly enough, Mark, not everybody
Not
gives
just-
a fuck about what you have
not
to say.
just you. Like all these people were talking about me, and I was like, who are these people?
Right,
Like,
right.
why are they saying this nasty stuff? Like, I don't know them, and they don't know me. So how could they possibly know what I stand for? Like, how? I never, honest to God, I do not go over to people's pages that I don't know and talk about them. Like, why would you care about what Laureen Cummings did?
What were people upset about? Like, what were people accusing
Every
you of?
decision.
Anything I said
What
that was in the
specifically
paper.
was Marky
CBD?
Dennebaum accusing you
CBD
of?
was one of them.
Probably marijuana.
Yeah.
Marijuana. But the big thing was that started with the change.org. I believe that's what it all started on, was that change.org. And that was with, I keep forgetting, O'Brien? Yeah, O'Brien. And there was another guy, he ran for school director. He was always on the school director. He was always on the board of directors. And I think he's one now.
Tom
What's his last name?
Borthwick.
Yes, Tom Borthwick. Tom Borthwick wrote
Oh, this is like the Drake. What's the other guy's fight?
Kendrick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar.
Tom Borthwick wrote a scathing commentary on me. Scathing.
What did he say?
Oh, I don't know. It was wicked, whatever it was. And that's
He's got
why
away with
you
words.
that's why you did it, because then you chimed in and then somebody else chimed in.
Oh, you know what? He had a website, and he was.
We hate Lorene, or what?
Was that no?
I'm just
I think it was.
asking.
No, I think,
I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know.
no, and I think, and my hope is that he could see, because he's a friend of mine, and he has his views have changed, and hopefully he could see this, and change your mind, don't change your mind, stay the same. At least he had an opportunity to be like, no one's ever really. I couldn't find anyone who's ever really locally just sat down and just talked to you and been like,
Nobody. And that was the other thing. I was like, well, how do they know that that's what I think when they've never talked to me and they don't know who I am? And that was the hardest part for me. And I was like, why are they saying this stuff when they don't even know if that's, because half of the stuff wasn't true.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm sure there was some kind of truth in there because I probably said something stupid because I tend to do that because I rant, and I'm not a politician. I'm just this person that ran for office. So I tend to run off at the mouth and get myself in trouble a lot. But
what did Tom say about you?
I don't know. It was bad. I mean, I'm sure I
Any
can pull it up
specific?
somewhere.
It's probably on there. Why are you looking for this?
Something.
Let's relive it. Do you have it?
I probably do.
You got to be kidding me. It's in the People to Destroy album on her cell phone.
I can't wait to have her and Tom on the same show next week.
Oh my
God. Don't do that. We had a good chat. We don't need to bring up all this.
No, I wasn't going to bring up Tom Borthwick. I was just going to show you a picture of how bad they portrayed me on the newspaper. But I'm sure you saw the cartoon caricature of me.
I thought that was who did that? Cole? Was Cole
Ron
doing
Cole.
those?
Oh,
yeah.
What a nasty man he was.
Thinking it's funny because you have a talent to draw cartoons.
I can't find it in here, but it was in here. He had me in the cartoon characters all the time with a diaper on my head, I think, or something, and toilet paper on my heel.
Did you ever talk to him?
No, but I did talk to a couple people, and I said, I have a bone to pick with you. Right to their face, because I didn't know half of those people. When they'd say their name, I'd be like, wait a minute, are you this person? Are you the person?
Wait, you came up to me at a debate.
Did I?
Yes, you did. It was at the University of Scranton, and I said, hey, I'm Mark, and you go, I know, you wrote all that terrible things about me.
Yes, I always told
and
people.
I was like, okay. And then you go, how you doing? And I was like, not the second question I expected out of her. But in that moment, like, that was the first thing for me to like eat humble pie, because I never thought that you even gave a damn. I thought I was just throwing it out into the wind, and then
that's interesting to me.
I'm just really grateful that we had this opportunity.
Me too. No, I appreciate
it to chat. And then
did you know who I was or no?
Mm-hmm. We've met before.
We have. I'm sure my brain is not working anymore. I don't remember people or anything.
No.
No.
Well, come on over to my house.
Biden.
Come on over to my house. We'll get some. Well, I hope you're not pooping your pants yet.
No.
That's it, yeah. Once that's done, we'll take you out to pasture like Old Yeller, and we'll be like, "This is for your own good."
Well, did I ever say anything to you that made you feel that way? I always wondered that. Like, did I say something to people that made them feel that I was cutting them down somewhere, and I don't remember saying that?
Nope. It was.
You did just tell us on your first day in office. You told them you don't like Democrats and you're not going to work with them. That might have been the one.
Well, I told that to Commissioner O'Malley. I said, you Democrats are all crazy. But I said the Republicans are all crazy too. So
you covered your bases, because they are. I want to have you back soon. I really appreciate this. I really appreciate you. And I'm very happy that you said yes to come down and chat with us. And
glad to be here.
And then whatever you do in the future, let us know. Specifically the book.
Okay.
Do you have a title for it yet?
No, I don't.
Maybe I can maybe during the middle of the night, I'll send you examples. I'll be like, this should be a good title. Yeah. And you go, okay, or nope, that's stupid. Laureen Cummings, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Had a good time.
Dan, you want to say it?
What a week.
That's it.